Welcome back to the Georgia Hour. I am your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics or the Georgia Hour. I'm sorry. You're watching the Georgia Hour on voiceofruralamerica.com. Give me number 99. So we're going to wrap this up. I laid out the first part because I really went through and thought to myself, what has happened where Colton Moore, State Senator Colton Moore in Georgia is concerned. How do I feel about that? Jon Burns needs to resign. Now, I'm going to do something, and I thought about this. I can't ask you to do something that I won't. I can't ask you to call someone that I won't. I can't ask you to make a statement that I won't. So, in that being said, I'm going to show you why, one of the many reasons. Because Jon Burns is a bad person. And those are my nice words. I don't get into the foul language and some of the things that happen on some of these podcasts. Jon Burns is a bad person. Anything you think Jon Burns is telling you that you think may be true is not true. This is a very bad person. We must put our foot down once and for all. We must stop this. You cannot serve. Well, let me just say this, and I'm going to give you my reasons because I'm going to make a statement here. Give me 91. Now, this is August 7th, 2024. Atlanta pastor leans on personal story to fight for LGBTQ equality and social justice. The Reverend Andi Woodworth speaks with church members before service at a neighborhood church. And this is June 30th, 2024. That is a man. That's a man. That's a man. Okay? Now, 92. Trans pastor to Georgia Legislature, love your neighbors as you love yourself. Democratic State Rep Draper of Atlanta left introduced the Reverend Andi Woodworth, who is believed to be the first transgender pastor to address the Georgia House during its morning devotional prayer at Monday's pastor of the day. This is March 11th, 2024. March 11th, the last session. Jon Burns is Speaker of the House. Jon Burns is Speaker of the House. Now, this man stood in the well. Every day there's a session in the Georgia State House. There is a pastor of the day. A pastor of the day. Got it? This man stood in the well and addressed in my capital, in your capital, the Georgia State House of Representatives, and prayed within our chamber as a demon standing in a pulpit of the state of Georgia, invited by Jon Burns, Speaker of the House. This man dressed as a woman presided over the pastor of the day in the chamber that Jon Burns would not allow Colton Moore to enter because Colton Moore's crime and sin against the state of Georgia was telling the truth about former House Speaker David Ralston on a day they deemed was inappropriate, but it was true. So on the day that Colton Moore stood up and gave his 5 minutes of truth that many did not like and felt was inappropriate, but true, about House Speaker David Ralston, got him banned from this chamber right here, where this man was the pastor of the day, video 17.
Good morning. Thank you so very much, Mr. Speaker and distinguished guests, and particularly to Representative Draper for this invitation today. It is a deep honor and delight to be here with you all this morning. So, right after college, I was a part of something called the Georgia Cracker Crumble. It was a fundraiser event that was held for many years by the Georgia Press Association, and I got to sing and act and portray some very prominent Georgia figures in little skits. And some of y'all might remember that event. I don't believe it's held any longer, but there were many legislators and other leaders that attended this fundraising event. So I feel somewhat at home in a room just like this one with you or perhaps some of your colleagues. We might recognize each other from those days, perhaps, but probably not. I got cuter since then. As I was preparing for this moment, I remembered the little rhyme that my grandmother taught me in the little Methodist church in New Bern, Georgia, where they lived. The little rhyme went like this. You probably know it. This is the church, this is the steeple. Open the doors and see all the people. Now, I learned this when I was very young. I feel like it was deeply embedded in my heart. And I bring this up because I have come to claim that last phrase, open the doors and see all the people, as a motto for my ministry and as a framework for my practice as a pastor.
Thank you, Reverend Andi. That was a great message. Thank you for bringing that to us. We'll ask members to join Reverend Andi in the South Ante room to give her thanks for being here and have a photo if you'd like.
Thank you, Reverend Andi. Put up Jon Burns' picture, please, if you can find it. I think it's 99. Thank you, Reverend Andi. Jon Burns acknowledged this man in our state house, in our chamber, for a great message. And if you'd like pictures with the trans pastor, the first to ever stand in the well as a demon, that's the same man that honored that evil, demonic person that forbid Colton Moore from entering that chamber. Same person. Now, in the interest of time, you cannot believe anything this man says. You cannot believe that he would not let that man teach your children in a school. If he will allow that man that thinks he's a woman to be in that chamber that day, he will allow that man that thinks he's a woman to be in your child's classroom. He will allow that man that thinks he's a woman to be a counselor in your child's grade school. He will allow that man that thinks he's a woman to probably be a counselor if your child is confused. He is looking over mental health bills. This man is bad for our state. Now, this is what I'm getting at this morning. All right. I don't know where you're at in Georgia. I like my state rep. I like him. As we say, I think he's a pretty good old boy. I don't think he's half bad. And that's a compliment. Pretty good guy. I like when I go up to the local park and rec and watch kids play basketball. I like to see him and his wife. Love getting into some preaching with his wife now. His wife can preach. Not saying she does. Oh, don't get in trouble. But I really enjoy it. We've had some great, strong conversations. Right? I love when I'm up there watching the kids play basketball and they're up there watching their grandkids play basketball. All the above. I like my state rep. I do. But my state rep is Johnny Chastain from the Georgia State House, District 7. And I'd tell you today, if he's in town, I'd have coffee with him. If he's in town, I'd have lunch with him. Can't stress, I like the guy. But what I'm about to ask you to do, I have to do myself. So, State Representative from the Georgia State 7th District, Johnny Chastain. As your constituent this morning, you need to stand up and ask for Jon Burns' resignation. Not on just the fact that he did not allow Colton Moore to come into the chamber. Everything. What it's all about. Because I'm going to say to any state lawmaker, do not come back to me and tell me about your Christianity and your views and you know how you believe in only girls and girl sports and no boys playing it. Don't give me any of that. Knowing what happened in that chamber, knowing who that man is. Do not trade us for 30 pieces of silver, every state rep. Do not. Do not trade us for the silver that is probably going in through 12 different channels that we can't track from lobbyists. So I say respectfully, I'm asking Johnny Chastain to ask for Jon Burns' resignation immediately. If I can do that, you need to call your state rep and you need to start now all across this state and do not be in fear and do not be starstruck and do not be worried about the retaliation, okay? The fear is of the Lord, not Jon Burns. And you need to stand up and call your state rep and tell this man, tell your state rep to tell this man he needs to resign immediately. Immediately, there needs to be a new Speaker of the House for a multiple list of reasons. He must go immediately. So I'm going to leave it there. He's a bad person. He must resign. He can no longer lead the Georgia House. And you may like your state rep. If you're sitting here and you're in the same position I am this morning, you say, well, I agree, Jon Burns. I agree with this. I agree with that. But, you know, I like my state rep. I don't want to get on the wrong side. I'm not telling you to get on the wrong side. If you cannot say to your state representative this morning how you think and feel about a vote, if you cannot say to your state rep this morning because you feel you don't want to hurt a relationship, but you don't like the way they voted, or you want them to vote a different way, or you know that you don't agree with something, then you got to get another state rep. Because right now, if what I've said, where I'm asking my state rep to ask for his resignation, if I go into town, I see my state rep, and They're mad at me? Really? No, that's not how it works. And I don't look for my state rep to get mad at me. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I have much deeper stuff that I'll go into tomorrow. We'll go into this a lot deeper tomorrow where Jon Burns is concerned. But I'm going to tell you today, the man that stood in the well of your House of Representatives under the Gold Dome, the Georgia taxpayers, and allowed this man, number 92, allowed this man to stand there and pray over our day of general session legislation and then say what a great message, must be gone immediately. Not another day should he occupy the Speaker of the House office under the Gold Dome. Period. Take that down. Diane, I sent you a video. I would like to close with here in just a minute. It's I Don't Care Margaret. That is going around. I Don't Care Margaret is going around with J.D. Vance. And actually, I really enjoy that. I want to go into this with what little bit of time we have. We have here it is, number 66. We're going to spend some more time on this tomorrow and throughout the week. The Georgia Republican Party key convention dates. Now, Josh McCoon, the current chairman of the Georgia GOP, Inc., does not have the management skills to lead the party into 2026. Josh McCoon, the current chairman of the Georgia GOP, Inc., does not have the management skills or the ability to turn things around and stop the trend. Now remember, in 5 years, Republicans have lost 19 state house seats in 5 years. In 5 years, Republicans have lost 5 state Senate seats. In 5 years, Republicans have lost 2 U.S. Senate seats. The list goes on. Now, the trend is the wrong way. Photo ops, and I will go into great detail. Donald Trump won Georgia. So we got to wipe that clean. That's great. We're glad he won. But in 2026, Republicans risk in Georgia losing constitutional offices. We will go into further detail. In 2026, Republicans risk losing even a deeper loss in their majorities in the state House and the state Senate, and possibly a congressional seat. And that is something we have to turn around. And the current chairman does not, I'm going to go into great detail, he does not have the ability or the management skills to do it. You have to have somebody that has the actual management skills that could pull 159 counties together, 14 districts together, and get the focus where it needs to be to turn this around. And you can't turn it around if you don't acknowledge there's a problem. First of all, they're going around cheering that Donald Trump won. I get it. That's great. Now, here's the thing. We're going to talk about it in great detail tomorrow. We're going to be picking new officers. So on February 22nd, the county precinct, now over 80,000. If your county's over 80,000, you have a precinct caucuses on February 22nd, just under a month. You have your March, everybody. So if you're under 80, which I've always lived in a county under 80 in Georgia, if you're under 80 and over 80, everything happens on March 22nd. That's when you pick your county convention is when you pick your new county chair, your new first vice chair in your county, so on and so forth. And that's where you pick your delegates to your district convention and your delegates to the state convention. District convention is April 26th. That is when the district conventions are set. That's where you pick your district convention chair and so on. We will go into detail on that. And then June 6th and 7th, you have your state convention, and that's where the chairman of the Georgia GOP and state officers are elected. Now, I don't know. I've not been told if current chairman Josh McCoon is going to seek re-election. I've not heard that. I do know through a press release that was put out that the second vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party, the current second vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party, David Cross, will be seeking the chairman's position for the Georgia GOP, state Georgia GOP. Now, I'm going to give you an example as we close. Give me number 83. This is Georgia's poster child for a rhino. Now, many of you don't like rhinos. You don't like to hear rhino. You can't stand to hear Republican in name only. But this guy's name is Stephen Aaron. All right? And Stephen Aaron said he's running for chairman of the 9th Congressional District in Georgia. So this is one example of what we have to work on. This is, again, the poster child for a rhino, period. I would, let's see, how do I prove this? I'll go with 20. I can't go 50 because I could get in trouble. I'm not supposed to be betting on politics. They could keep me out of the Hall of Fame. Anyhow, I'll go 20. I'll go 20. He voted for Nikki Haley in the primary. I'll go 20. He voted for Nikki Haley in the primary. I'll go 20. He voted for Nikki. Yeah, I'll go 20. He voted for Nikki. Yes, I will. Yes, I'll go 20. He voted for Nikki Haley. I'm just saying. This is an example of if we want to turn around Georgia in 2026, we must make sure we get the right people in the county chair, the district chair, and the state chair this time for 2026. Okay? That is, like I said, that is that's the poster child of a Georgia rhino right there. In fact, I ought to do a graphic. Poster child for the Georgia rhino.
I couldn't take his picture up there anymore.
No comment. No comment. Diane, the meme is going around. It is going around. It is funny. I don't care. Margaret, roll the tape.
Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals
but there are
have been properly
30,000
vetted.
people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary
Do you stand by
concern
it?
as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that
So
we
no.
know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people
it's
are
not
vetted.
good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
I don't care, Margaret. I don't care. But they're vetted. I don't care, Margaret. That's going around the internet. That's pretty good. I don't care, Margaret. America first. God bless you. Thank you. It's good to be back here with you Monday. Jon Burns must resign immediately. Your state rep must tell your state rep immediately. Jon Burns must resign as Speaker of the House in the state of Georgia. Diane, I'm out of here. I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And yes, I plan to get a haircut soon. I promise.